Hi everyone, welcome back to another video of our Python tutorial series. In this video, we are going to learn some of the most important topic and which we call as the building blocks of Python. So here are the topics, list of topics that you can see what we are going to learn. We are going to learn today what is variables, what is the data types, and what all are the data types that we have in Python and how to use them, right? And then after that we'll be moving to learn and what is the different type of input and outputs operations we do perform with by using the Python, right? So by at the end of this Python tutorial, we'll be able to learn complete fundamental knowledge on variables and the data types and the basic input output operation, right? So which is going to be play a very big important role in at the time of you are going to work with the Python development, right? So let's get started. So if I ask you what is variable, right? So what will you say? What is variable, right? So what is a variable? If I ask, if I give you a definition from the book, so it's like a variable is like a container which stores some data, right? If you can, let's say you have some data to store somewhere, so you are going to take a container, right? If I talk about the real time word, let's say if a kitchen, inside of a kitchen I want to store some rice, right? So to store the rice I take a container. In this container I store my rice, right? So similarly, if you want to, let's say I have a oil, so to store oil I took a bottle, right? So that is nothing but a container. To this particular, this is a content, rice or oil, these are my container. So nothing but these are we can compare this like a data to for me, and for this data I have a storage. There is nothing but a container, and this container is holding the data, right? So similarly, for my programming language I can have multiple data. So if I want to deal with the data, so I need something to store the data, right? So in our programming, to store, or you can say to hold the data, we need the container, right? Program in our programming, to store some information or some data, to store data, we need a container, right? Container. And this is what called as a variable, right? So what is a variable? Variable is nothing but which is act as a container and which contains the data for me, right? Let's say I have a data set. Let's see, I'm saying my name is equal to, let's say, Alice, right? So if you say name is equal to Alice and age is equal to, let's say, 20, so some other information might be gender, right, equal to male, right? So these are the information of a employee, of a person. So if you want to store this information of a person into your programming language and you want this data into your program, so what you will be doing, you will be actually storing those data into variables. So those variables, now you can understand, we can have a mobile number also. Let's say mobile number is equal to something 78900123456, say anything, right? So whatever the mobile number is there, it can have the address, right? So anything can be there. The data can be there are a lot of data, right? So this data, if I want to hold into a programming language, so I need a container to hold the data, right? To hold, let's see, I have a name of a person, so I want to store, I have a name of age of a person, I have a gender of a person, mobile number of a person, address of a person, right? So, so many details we can find out a person can have, right? So, how to store them, how to deal with the data in your programming language, right? So, let me quickly go to another slide. Uh, okay, okay. Now, to deal with the variables, so let's say variable. we need we want to store the data. To store the data, I have a different type of data, right? I have a data in text format, I have a data in number format, and I can have data in some other format as well, right? Like boolean, right? Or different other formats, right? So there are so many type of data when we are going to deal with the variables. Now to tell the Python how to store the data, it's very simple. You just need a name of the variable. So let's see variable name. If I see variable underscore name and is equal to variable value, right? That is the syntax. ELUE. That's it. You do not have to explicitly mention what is the type of your data, right? What do I mean? Let's say I want to store the name of that person. So what I'll say name is equal to Alice, right? That's it. You do not have to take care of the what is the type of data, what is the data type, right? Those are the things is not needed in Python. Let's say I want to store the age of this person. So it's simple. I can say age is equal to 25, right? So we don't have to take care about what is whether this data is a type of string or whether this data is a type of integer or it is a float or it is a boolean or any class object reference, right? Those are the things you do not have to take care. Python is going to automatically take care. So the people, if you learn about Java or some other programming language where this data type is very important, right? So in Java, I can say, let's say you have to store this name in Java, right? So how do you go for Java? You will say string and you say name is equal to Alice. So this is what you have to write in Java. But in Python, we just say name is equal to we just say name is equal to we just say name is equal to Alice, then that's it. You do not have to do anything else. You have to store the number. Let's say age equal to 25. You just have to say age equal to 25 and that's it. In Java, similarly, what you have to do, you have to declare the data type itself, right? So you have to say int age equal to 25. So we are not going to discuss about the Java, but we will be discussing about the Python from here, right? So we'll be dealing with this. So what I wanted to mean here, so whatever the data type is going to store into a particular variable, that doesn't matter. You just declare a variable name. This is the syntax and pass the what is the value of the variable, right? And left side part of your equal sign, that is going to declare what is the name of your variable. With the name you are going to call the particular variable, and the right side part of your equal sign, that is going to provide you what is the data of this particular variable is contents, right? Now what is the use of this variable, right? So that is something is going to get in our mind. To use the data, let's see, you have a alias, this is the name, and you want to use in multiple places, right? Or the age is equal to 25, I want to use into multiple places. Then to use the multiple places, do I need to write alias every time in my code, or do I need to write age equal to 25 in every time in my code? No, right? So to avoid those kind of multiple occurrence of your writing same thing, we use the variables. Clear? So let's say you are going to write a particular essay. Let's say Alice, you are saying Alice is a good person and Alice studies into this particular area, or he is from here, and whatever the things you are going to write, right? So everything, you this is the what that is going to be you have to write everything. Instead of that, you can just call that particular variable in your code, that it is going to replace the variable with the value of the particular variable. Clear? I hope this is clear to you guys. Also one more thing, let's say I have declared one variable, I am saying x is equal to 10, right? So what that does mean, x is a variable which contains the data as 10. So if I print x, what it will be print? It will print 10, right? Because the content of x is 10. Now next line I am saying x is equal to 15, so I am changing the data. Now if I print x, so if I print x, now what it will print? It will print me 15. So you can understand, once I have declared the x value of x is a variable is 10. After that I am modifying the data, I am changing the data. Now it is going to hold the new data instead of the previous one, right? So it is going to be overridden. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Let's see, on the first line, you what is the data type you have used? Let's see what I mean. In the first line you have used, let's say, x is equal to a string value you have used, right? X equal to, you say, Python, right? And you have printed it, your print will be Python, right? If you print x, then it will print Python, right? Now in the next line you are saying x is equal to uh, let's say hello, right? So if you print now x, sorry, I wanted to have a integer value. Let's say I am saying x is equal to 100, right? Now you print, now if you print x, it will return you 100, right? Now here you can see, initially x was a string type of value which was storing the text value. Now we have changed it to number, right? That doesn't matter. So whatever the latest value you have assigned to that particular variable, it is going to hold that value. Okay, so here you can see now Python is printing me x is equal to 100, right? So this is how Python variables works. So most of the used data types that we have talked about, those are nothing but your string type of data, which is called as str, integer type of data, bool type of data, right, which is nothing but true and false. Okay, so these are the data types that we have right now. Okay, so I have the declaration of a variable, and what is the format that we need to follow for declaring a variable, that is clear to guys, right? Now let me quickly move to the next topic. We'll be talking about what is the different rules for the variables, right? You can say rules of naming. Okay, so there are certain rules that we need to follow, right? So what are the new rules we should follow when we are writing code using by Python, right? So first and very most rules that we need to, you can use only characters, uh, characters, numbers, and special character. There are only few special character, only underscore, and you can use dollar sign. Okay, so these are the things which is allowed into your particular variable name. Let's say what I mean. Let's say I can say name is a variable, or I can say start with underscore name, right? So in or instead of these, we can say underscore you can use in the middle of the name, or you can say name 123. So we can use character, underscore, and we can use numbers also in my variable. So these are the valid naming convention you can see in Python we have for the variables, right? But there are something which is not allowed at all, right? So what all the things that is not allowed in a variable naming convention that we should know? One of the convention which is uh, your nothing but, you can see, hyphen, right? In not my hyphen. Okay, so and hyphen is not allowed for your variable. Let's say if you say hyphen name, it is not going to be allow you to declare a variable with this name. So similarly, there are a lot of others, you can see special character like not of exclamation, your at that ampersand, right? So these are the things which is not going to be allowed you to use as a inside of your variable names. Like we can have a plus, minus, or we can have a equal sign. So these are the upper symbols that you cannot use for your variable names. Okay. Now also there are some certain rules, right? Well, like some reserved keywords, right? Reserved keywords. What are the reserved keywords? Means the keywords like if, right, else, right, try, class. So these are the keywords which you cannot use as a naming name of your variables. So what we got to know here, when you are going to give a name of your variables, so you should take care of these things, that you are not going to use the particular special characters, these reserved keywords we should not use for your particular variable name. Out of this you can use with this naming convention, that is not an issue, but these are something which is not going to be allowed us, right? Okay, let's go to the programming. We are done with the enough talking on this theoretical part. Let's come to here. I'll quickly create a class file. Let's say Python class. So I'll say new, and to choose the Python file from here, and I'll say class one. Say this one is class two, and we are talking about the variables, right? So now, first of all, I will still let you know what are the variables, the different type of variables, right? Right. So first of all, let's talk about the integer, right? So if you see, if I say a is equal to 100, right? So this is a kind of number that we are going to store into variable a, right? So similarly, I have a particular variable. So let's say I'm going to work with the float values, right? Which is a decimal pointer numbers. So what we can see, let's say b is equal to, I can say 100.243. so if you having a pointer numbers, so we can define that as a floating point number. That doesn't matter, it should be a positive number, it can be negative number also. So we can see c is equal to, we can say minus 100.23. so if you have positive or negative side of number and you are storing into a particular variable, that is nothing but is going to be your floating point number, right? So similarly we can have string type of value. So if you see, let's say I'm saying d is equal to hello world. So this is a text that I'm going to store into this particular variable, right? So if you want to print, let's say I want to, first of all, I want to print the integer value. So if you want to print, what you have to do? You have to just say print, right? Sorry. Okay. So here I can print the value. That is what we already got to know in our previous class, but let me still again run it. I'm sorry, I have to run this current class. I'll say okay. Now you can see we are getting the output as 100. Now to check what is the data type of this particular variable, we can use, there is a method called type, right? So we can use print and we can say check the type of this particular variable. So a is my variable. If you want to check that what is the type of this particular variable, we can use type and you can pass the variable, right, inside of type. So it will print what is the type of variable. If I run this code now, you can see it is printing the type of the variable is integer. So it will print in this way. First it will say it is a class of type of integer, right? So similarly we can test for the next float values. So if I say print, and you can see c, and if I want to print the type of c, so similarly I can do the same, and we can say type of c, right? So and let me print the type of b also. Sorry, so I can print type of b, and also I want to print b, right? Now if I run this code, you can see both the values got printed, and it is printing both the values data type also float, right? Now let me do one thing. This code, the outputs are getting so much, you can see lengthy, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. What we can do, we can separate out this block of prints, right? So what I can do, I can use a print like this way. So let's say I want to print star, and then I want to say multiple of 20. So what it will do, it will print star 20 times. If you say star and then multiple 20, so whatever you will be the uh, providing there inside of this particular double single quote or double quote, it will just multiply, it will just print that particular value, that's this number of time, right? So similarly I can use this separator for me right now, and I'll enter it over here, right? So if I run this, and you can see now we are getting the separator over here, right? So this looks good, right? So these are the separated value. Now let's see, I'm going to check for the string type of values, right? So I can comment this out, and let me print um, D, and also I'll print the data type of D, right? So you can see type of D. Now if I print again the last value, you can see it is printed the data that we have stored into particular D variable, and what is the type of data we have printed, that is a string, right? So this is the data we have seen already. String type of data, we have seen integer type of data, and also same time we have seen the float type of data. One more data type which is very used in very big number of cases, that is a boolean type, right? So let's see what is the boolean type. I have a variable e, and I want to store true in this particular variable, right? So if I want to print and f is equal to false, there are the two data types. So we can say print e, and we can print f, right? You want to check the type, what is the type of data e, or what is the type of f. So it will be print the data completely for me, right? So if I run this code now, here you can see it has printed true, false, and what is the data type? Data type is nothing but bool, right? Okay. So far I think, I hope this is clear to you guys completely. Remember one thing, here the true and false value, t should be always in caps and f should be always in caps. If you mess out with this, if you say instead of capital T, you are writing small t, then it is not going to be considered as a boolean value, okay? And similarly for false, if you are making it is a small f, then it is not going to be considered as a boolean value. Got it? Now let's talk about the some rules, naming rules convention that we have already talked about, right? So what I'll do, I'll comment out this code, and I'll come to, okay. So I'm commenting out this. Now let's talk about the things we have talked about. We'll see. Um, let's talk about the naming convention, right? So naming convention, CONVN, right? So naming convention. First of all, the we want to talk about the positive naming convention, which is as a variable names can only contain letters, numbers, and underscore. Okay, let's talk about the first convention. And if I enter, let's see, I am and I want to go some example, right? I'm say name is equal to, I have given the name as a Alice, right? So this is a variable. Name is a variable which is containing the variable name, which is matching with this particular requirement letters, right? So we have all the letters, that is particularly okay. But I can have it numbers also. So I can say name, can say 1 is equal to Bob, right? I can have this way also, or I can use with the let's see, or I can use name underscore 1, right? So this way also I can use, or you can see name of employee, right? This way. So this is making more sense and more making valuable. So this way we can use name, you can say characters or letters, and the numbers and the underscore in this particular variable names, right? Let's talk about the second rule, right? Second rule, what is the second rule? It is talking about variable names cannot start with a number, right? So what that does mean? Let's say I want to declare a variable name. Let's say 1 ABC is equal to I want to store a value. Let's say hello. This is not going to be executed. You see, we are getting an error. And what is the error? It is saying that the value will be cause an error, right? We cannot write, we cannot allow, we cannot create a variable starting with number, right? So this is not a possible, so this is invalid. Okay, so we cannot use this way, right? So similarly, we can, if we talk about the third rule of variables, that is here you can see it is giving is a variable names are case sensitive. Okay, what that does mean? Now you can see that variable names are case sensitive. What that does mean? Means if I have a variable, let's say name is equal to I say Alice, and the next line if I say again name, let's say I'm making this a capital case, let's say M, right? So they are both are different object, right? So uh, let's say I'm saying Alice and something Smith, right? So here I initially I had a alias variable, and this and the next line I am having the same variable name, and the same with the same you can say case sensitive, right? But another one I have taken a variable which is n is a capital case, so the variable case sensitiveness is changing. So I can, these two variables are a separate variable. Okay, so here we can see name and name are different variables. Clear? They are not same, but although this variable and this variable are same. If you print the name value of name, let's say I want to print um, value of name, so which name you think it will print? So I have a two variable with the same name. First, initially I had a name, that is Alice. Next line I have a name which is now reassigned with the new value Align Smith, right? So if I print it, then what do you think which value is going to be printed over here, right? So if you run this code now, you see the newly assigned value is getting printed, right? So the old value is no longer available. That means the old value is got overridden, right? Now if I print name, print and the capital name, then you can see this name is going to hold this data. It's not going to override this one. We are still able to use this, but these two are printing a separate value. That means they are different, right? You can see the prints. So the small name with small n and name with small n, capital N, they are print holding the different values. So that means they are separate each other. Clear? This is about the case sensitiveness. So remember one thing, Python is a case sensitive programming language, so we have to take care of the sensitiveness of Python bit. Okay, now variable names are should be descriptive and meaningful. That is, we do not need to talk about these things, we can ignore. But what do you want? Space Spaces are not allowed in variable names. What that does mean? Let's say you want to store a name called uh, name, and you can say employee is equal to Alice. So you can see I am using as you can say space in between name and employee. So this is not allowing me to declare this way, right? It is giving me error. So this is not, this will cause an error. If you try to run your code, you cannot run this code. You can see my file is showing a red mark color, right? So that means there is some wrong in your particular code. Even if you try to execute this particular file, it will not it will give you, it will throw an error, and it is saying that there is a syntax error. What is the syntax error? It is showing you where it is the raising the error, right? So it is in here you actually define invalid syntax of a variable, right? So that is what we cannot use this approach. We cannot use spaces in your variable naming convention. Clear? Okay. Now the next one is avoid using the reserved keywords, right? So reserve keyword in the sense, let's say I have want to declare the variable for. So if you see I want to assign some value into this particular for keyword, you Python will not allow you to assign that value, because for is comes under it declare reserve keyword, right? So similarly you cannot use some other variables like while. I cannot use while to assign some value, right? So these are the reserved keyword which is not going to be allowed, right? So these are the rules, main rules that we need to follow when you are writing the code. Clear? Okay. So but I hope now whatever the things we have talked about, the variables, what is the variable, how to declare the variable, and what are the different naming convention we do have in variables. So these are the things are very and pretty much straightforward and clear to you guys. Now let's talk about the input and output, right? So how do you deal with the input from the user, right? So let's say I want to use inputs, right? So I'll be using, let's say, input output from user, right? Let's say I want to, instead of, so far you can see the variables or the names that we are using into our code, that we are hard coding it here itself in the program, right? So d value we are assigning from the code itself. So but what if I want to take the data from the user input? So but how can we do that, right? So for now there is a function called input function. Okay, so that by using that input function, by using input function, what we can do, we can take input from the user. Let's say how we can do it. Let's say I want to store a data into a name, and I want to display user information, right? So if I say name is equal to, I will take that, call that particular method, or you can say call that particular function, you can say input, and I can say enter your name, right? I can say enter your name. So when I say enter your name, what it will do, it will prompt you to enter some name, and it will store that value into this particular variable, right? Now if you, in the next line, if you want to um, print the value of this, let's say hello, and then whatever the name you will be passing from your input, that is something I'm going to display over here. Clear? So if I run this code now, you can see here it is showing me that enter your name, right? So let me enter my name. Let's say I'm saying Saddam Hussein. So whatever the name you will be entering over here, it will display in the next line by saying hello Saddam Hussein, right? If I hit enter over here, you can see it is printing hello, and it's printing your name, right? So similarly we can take multiple parameters, multiple data from a user. So instead of hello enter print your name, so let's say I'm into using a separator over here, and I'll use star, and I'll use into 30. Okay. Now instead of asking only name, I can ask multiple parameters. So I can say is equal to input enter your age, right? So whatever the age the person will enter, and it will be displayed over here, right? So similarly I want to print, instead of name, I want to print all this, both the parameters whatever you have passed. So how can we do this, right? So we can say, we can combine the print statement, and this way we can say hello, and then we can print this way, right? We can print hello, and after that the name you'll be passing, I'm for now I'm commenting this out, and then I'll be printing the name of the particular person, and then I'll ask what is the age where you are, and I'll be printing the age of the person, and what is this years of old, right? So if you run this code now, you see it will prompt me the enter your name. Let's say Alice. So and then next line it will asking me to enter the age. So I'm entering age equal to 30, right? So now you can see it is printing me hello Alice, you are 30 years old. Can you see that? So this is a formatted string it which is print statement is provided to me. So I have combined both the user inputs and I have displayed into the output, right? So this is how input function works. One more thing just before closing this video, I hope how to see, let's say I don't like the print of this way, right? So what we can do, we can use the you can say we can use formatted string. So if I see what that is, that formatted string means I want to use if string, and then you can use this way. So you can see, instead of saying plus name plus and then plus age plus and concatenate the each and every string, what I can do, we can use that within the curly braces you can use the variable name, and here also within curly braces using the within curly braces you can use the variable names, and everything we can write inside one single quote. But to use this way we have to use if before your single quote or double quote. Okay, so this is called f string inside of your print statement. If you are using f string, then it will format the data. Whatever you will be writing inside of your curly braces, that value is nothing but the parameter that you are going to pass, right? So this is a parameter, and this parameter will be replaced by the actual data of this parameter, whatever you are entering in the whatever the data you are passing, right? So let me run this once again. I'll comment out the first one and just only running for this one, right? So if I run this code again, here see, it is asking me to enter the name. Let's say I'm passing the name as a Peter, and I'm passing the name as a 20, right? Now you can see it is giving me the output, hello Peter, you are 20 years old. Clear? I hope this concept is clear to you guys now. What is variable, what is the data, different types of variable, how to declare a variable, and what are the different naming conventions, what we can use in the variables, why what we cannot use the variables, right? And how to take user input and how to store the data from the user input, how to display the data. So all these things are clear to you guys. Well, that's it for this today's session. Let me go back to the topics that we have written down, right? So we have discussed about this variable, we have discussed about the data types, and we have discussed about the basic input and output operations, right? So all these things we have already covered. So um I hope you have learned something from this today's video. In our next video, in our next video okay, so in our next video we are going to discuss more on something. In our next video we are going to discuss about the more on the conditional statements, uh, conditional statements, and if time allows then we'll be covering the loops part also, loops in Python. Okay, make sure that you are watching, and I hope you have got the idea of what is the variables, data types, and basic input and output operations, that how we are performing, what are the things that we have to remember when you're learning the Python variables and data types, right? So if you have any doubt, any query or questions, let me know in the comment section. I'll be very happy to clarify your doubts, right? Okay, let's wrap up this over here. Thank you for watching this video once again. See you in the next video. Until then, thanks and bye bye. Thank you.